Have you ever wondered why night vision tends to be represented like the world was put through a green filter? I haven't been able to shake this question ever since it popped into my mind a few days ago. So I've decided to share with you guys what I've learned while searching for answers. Now, you may be familiar with the idea that night vision actually works by intensifying the lights in your surroundings and taking in infrared light. This light is actually then processed as a black and white image based on how many light particles the sensor is receiving. These screens then deliberately turn the image green as the human eye is more sensitive to green light. But this got me wondering, if green is the color that the eye is most sensitive towards, and blue and red are the other colors that the cones in our eyes are able to differentiate, then why do so many traditional models of color theory show the primary colors as red, blue, and yellow? It's this question that took me down a rabbit hole into the world of color theory skepticism, a belief system with frightening implications. Let's start off with a simple test. Popular color theory would have you believe that white is the result of all colors mixing together. To test out this theory, I used this handy studio light and a couple of color filters to see whether this was true. As you would expect, adding the blue filter turned the light blue, and adding the yellow filter on top of that, it turned the light into a greenish color. If you then add purple, the light continues to slightly darken, but you can see how all the filters are affecting the color of this white light. To speed up this process, we can use advanced simulations that imitate adding more filters onto the light. As you can see, something interesting happens as we add more and more filters. The light begins to turn black. Hold on, how can white become black by adding more color? If anything, shouldn't it become more white? I needed more answers, and I knew the next theory I wanted to test was these trick images. You may have seen these before. They popularly state that while the color looks different on either end, that is only because of the colors that surround it and how our eyes interpret the light and shadow. But something always bothered me about these images. They seem to always be created digitally, which can so easily mean that they were altered. So I decided to recreate these images in person to see if I got the same results as the digital versions. To do this, I simply painted a line of red across a paper and placed one side under the shade. Now being fully certain that this was a physical rendition of those computer simulations, I took a picture of it to compare the colors. As you can see, when we use Photoshop's color picker tool, the two colors that we end up with are actually completely different. More inconsistencies with color theory were quickly appearing, and the questions kept coming. First, with the proposed aesthetics from color theory. Why is it that blue is considered a cool color when we know that blue fire actually burns hotter than red fire? If green and red are considered complementary colors, then why does this image look so wrong, but this one's so much better? If the color wheel truly contains all the colors, then why does it look so wrong when we simply invert the colors on it? Surely it should look the same if it were an accurate model. Then, all the scientific inaccuracies. If, as we are taught, the sun is actually yellow, then why do shots of it from space clearly show it as white, and photos from Earth clearly as orange? If the color violet has the most frequency, then why is it so sparse in nature? And if the color red has a longer wavelength, why is it that the waves in these two cups of water are the same length? Then it struck me. Color theory is completely and fundamentally wrong. And as I found out online, some would even go as far as to say that it's morally and ethically corrupt as well. And we can see why from the most fundamental claim of color theory, that there are only 3 primary colors, and that no other color can mix to create these. And yet, it can be easily shown that yellow and magenta can be mixed to create red, and therefore the system is flawed at the core. The basis as to why it's so wrong is because it only takes into consideration these 3 primary colors as coinciding with the most evident 3 dimensions. However, as we know, time is the 4th dimension and should not be discounted, and as such, a model for color must include this consideration and therefore be a hypercube. So, what are the primary colors of the hypercube? Unfortunately, no one can say for certain at this time. I don't have all the answers. It seems most of us don't, and maybe we never will. Viewers, I hope it is as clear to you as it is to me that we are taught these lies to dismantle our way of living and to keep us as subservient and willing participants in grander, tyrannical global structures. As far as the anti-color theory researchers have been able to find, it turns out that the International Commission on Illumination has the final say in all color rules, and as such are an entity that you should be wary of. Stay woke and think outside the circle.